promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's event, Getting Started with Azure DevOps. And presenting today's topic is Brent Dawson, a driven Microsoft certified trainer with over 20 years of experience. Brent is also a Microsoft Dynamics architect out of London, UK. He has delivered comprehensive Microsoft infrastructure and security training, giving students the tools they need to build, maintain, and secure their Microsoft network infrastructure. Bringing over 10 years of experience as a solution and infrastructure architect, he has been responsible for architecting Microsoft-based solutions in Azure, Dynamics 365, and SQL Server. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic, but we do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. And if you're interested in a further discussion about any of those, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. NetCom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adopting change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize, and they encompass people, process, and technology training. And today's presentation is from the Applications Development practice area. NetCom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for application development courses, and our upcoming classes include various trainings on AZ204T00, AZ400T00, AZ220T00, and many more. And private training to teams is also available, and those learning plans can be customized to the specific needs of that audience. You can also access a variety of application development marketing assets, such as the free training, by clicking on the available webinar handout, and these offerings can also be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Brent to present today's topic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brent. How are you? As was mentioned, we're going to take a look at starting with Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is one of the subcomponents that comes as part of your Azure subscription. Everybody does get access to it, and you have the ability to go in and set up projects and configurations within the project's tool, and do all sorts of different things. So we're going to take a look at a very, as was mentioned, short and high-level examples here. So we're going to take a look at what DevOps is, sort of the idea behind DevOps. What types of tool sets do we have that support continuous delivery? What is the Azure DevOps tool and what can it do for you? We'll take a quick look at what Azure DevOps Boards are, and then implement continuous delivery within the organization. So DevOps is not just a tool. DevOps is a process, a philosophy, a methodology of the combination of when we take people who actually do things, the processes that they follow, and the products that they will use to continuous delivery of value to the customers. So what ends up happening is that in the olden days, 5 years ago, you used to write a piece of software and you would deploy it. And then when a bug came out or you needed to update it or whatever, you would have to do an update to it. It could potentially be you have to take the system down, you have to completely reinstall everything, a number of stuff like that. What DevOps does is it gives you the capability of doing something called continuous development, continuous improvement, and deployment. And basically what the process is that instead of us having to take the system down now to do updates and do patches and deploy new features and so forth, we can do them continuously. It's sort of along the lines of what Microsoft does now with their different versions of, let's say, Windows or things like SQL Server or Exchange Server. They don't often come out with brand new versions that are completely different than the version previous. What they will do is that they will release a version of a tool, and then they will continuously improve it. So they will add new features and new functionality and so forth. So those sorts of things. So in my world, I live primarily in the Dynamics platform. And because of that, Microsoft uses this continuous deployment, continuous improvement process to constantly roll out new features, and they refer to them as waves, and they do 3 a year. And so what these waves will do is that instead of having to go and redeploy everything, they'll just push out the new features and integrate them into the package, and then you'll have access to be able to use them. This DevOps process does the same thing for your internal organization. So if you're a company, let's say you're an insurance company and you write all sorts of different applications that run internally, whether they're in C++ or C# or even in the Power Platform, you can use DevOps to manage the project, describe what the project is, keep control of all of the code that's executed against it, keep a timeline, determine who has to fill in what tasks, test them all, and then be able to successfully release the application to your environment. So as I mentioned, DevOps is a philosophy or it's a process. And so Azure DevOps, on the other hand, is the particular Microsoft implementation of the philosophy of DevOps, process management. And so if you've done any project management with things like Prince2 or Waterfall or Agile or CMMI or any of those other sort of ones, those are project methodologies that are used to actually execute a project. What DevOps does is it takes advantage of using any one of those methodologies, and you can define at the type the project is created how you want to actually complete the project. Now, Agile seems to be the flavor of the month, year, whatever. And so by default, most projects that are created in DevOps are created as an Agile process. And so you'll create your sprints, you'll have all of your processes created, you'll determine what you'll complete in terms of specific tasks during individual sprints, and then you'll hopefully learn from the previous sprint, which you can do in the next sprint to make your process even better. So there are 4 sets of tools, or 5 sets of tools, basically that make up the system. There's the Azure Boards. This is sort of the agile tool structure. So we'll take a look here in a second, but this includes things like Kanban boards and backlog lists and feature lists and those sorts of things. There's the Azure pipelines, and the pipelines are there as a way to actually deploy the code that you're going to be building in the test environments and then getting it into the production system. There's the Azure test plans. Now, what test plans do are actually 2 separate things. So first of all, the test plan is the individual steps that a tester will go through to validate whether or not a piece of code is actually working the way it's supposed to, right? So you write an application, you want to test to make sure that the user can log in and they can open up a web page and do whatever it is that they need to do on a very high level. So what you do is you create a test script, a test plan that says, okay, this test plan is to test the user interface. And there are going to be 4 test scripts that we're going to execute as part of this user interface test. So we're going to test whether the user can log on. Can they log on? Yes, they can do these 4 steps to get into the system. Check that passes. Then they'll do the next one. Check that passes. Then they get to the next one and they get halfway through and they go, oh, I can't do that. So instead of passing the test, they actually would put a red X in the text checkbox next to that step, and they would describe as an error what happened, so that at the end of that they can fail the test. The error that's generated would automatically trigger a backlog ticket that a developer would get assigned to go in and fix it. So they would have to go in and build this thing, recreate the problem, figure out what the problem is, resolve it, and then do the testing phase over and over again. This is just like every other project that you'll ever do before you release it to production. The difference is that now we have a tool that can help us manage it. So when the software gets redeployed, we can go through and we can follow the same test script. When we get to the spot that was broken, we can go, oh, yep, thumbs up, everything's great, let's carry on, and we can continue from there. The second thing that the Azure test plans do is it helps to automate the process. So there are several automation tools that you can buy that will integrate with DevOps that will let you do things like automate UI testing or automate data entry testing and that sort of thing. So as an example, if we use Dynamics again, Dynamics has a tool called RSAT, which will allow you to automate test scripts for Dynamics deployments. And so we fill out a spreadsheet in Excel, we attach that to the test list, and so as it goes through the test script itself, it can say, okay, so I need to enter this username. It'll go to the spreadsheet, it'll pull that record value out, populate it, and continue on. At the end of the testing phase, it'll generate a report that either tells you, yes, the entire test was successful, or no, the test didn't pass, and where it failed and what happened when it did fail. So you can go in and modify, and test against all of those sorts of things. The next part is sort of the service level things. These are the Azure repos. So the repos are the actual location to where the data itself is stored for things like code development and so forth. And then artifacts. These are packages that I will create as part of my deployment process that I'm going to use to deploy software. So here's an example of what the Azure boards look like. These are the roadmap items that are existing in the system. And so here, as you can see, is an Agile project. We have the different sprints, the dates that they're going to be done, and what we will be trying to accomplish and complete in each of those sprints. So as we go through, we can see items that have either been in progress or not started, or ones that have been completed, and so forth. And so we can see, some things will get completed in one sprint, some things will have to take a longer sprint, and so forth. And so we can set that up that way. We also have in here the DevOps boards capability of putting data in. So as we go through and we complete a task, we can go in and say, okay, we're going to, so Jamal is the one who's working on this particular task. Here's all of the comments that he's put in here as he's been working through this particular process. He's linked them to other development tasks that may be dependent on his item or stuff that he has dependencies on. And you can also keep track of the state of the task that you're working on, where it is in terms of the iteration, what's the reason that the work has stopped, or that you have information on it. And this is how you actually track all of the events in the system. Here you will create new work items, and under the work items, you can create a number of different types. You can create a new bug. So if something is done through testing and you detected a bug, you can track that. An epic is sort of like a user story where you're going to say, okay, we have this process, we need to complete this. A feature is something that's taken from an epic. So it's a new feature like being able to do spell checking or validate that a phone number is in the right format. An issue is something that comes up again during the testing phase that blocks the capability of being able to test, which is slightly different than a bug. Tasks are the individual tasks for development that are assigned to an individual user, or they could be a testing task. A test case is where you'll actually go in and write the case study for that particular process, and then the user story, which ultimately is what you'll use to determine what that particular task needs to execute in the system. Here we have, again, in the boards view, we have the team view, which also shows us what is new, active, resolved, and closed. And we have the capability of dragging and dropping from one screen to another. So as we complete stuff, we can drag it to resolved. We could set it to closed. If it's something that we start working on and we run into a bug, we can leave it at active. Maybe we closed it, but we shouldn't have because there was a bug. So we could set it back to active by dragging it back into that particular screen. But it allows us to visually see everything that's occurring in the project. Here we have a list of all of the backlogs, which is all of the items that we still need to work on, and all of the items that are listed in a particular sprint. So here we can see which items are new, which are resolved, which are currently active. And as those are completed, they will slowly remove themselves off the backlog list into either completed or so forth. The backlog list will generally only display the information that's currently in a delay. Here we also have the team for the boards. So who are all the team members and what are their to-dos? So you can actually see, okay, Christy has been assigned the design welcome screen. So this is the task that she needs to do. Jamal is working on the development form and so forth. So you can see who is doing what their to-do lists are, what they have in progress, and what they've been committed to, and what they finished. Also, we have the capability of setting up queries. So here we can take a query of all of the backlog hierarchy and say, okay, show me all the items that are not started, right? They're all new but not initiated. Or show me all the items that have been resolved, or show me all the items that are closed by George. And so you can create these and you can have the results as a standard table. You can do them as a Gantt chart. You can do it as a regular chart. And so you'd execute the query and it would return the results based on those values. You also have the capability of creating boards that stretch over sprints. So as we saw this one previously, this is allowing us, and this one is a slightly different, but this is a roadmap board. And so what this roadmap board does is it specifies within the system how are we going to get from the start of the project to the end point. So this is the roadmap of the new features that are going to be built, when they're supposed to be in testing, when they're going to be in preview, and then ultimately when they get completed and released to the production system. But this roadmap is very handy because it's your guide that you're going to use to follow how you get from the starting process of the project to the end process of the project. And also within the DevOps boards, we have dashboards, which of course are very useful, especially from a management point of view, because it gives you the opportunity to very quickly look at the screens and say, okay, well, I am at a certain day and everything seems to be green, so that's good. So the project's not behind. We've completed 50 items. We have 10 in order. We've got 76 that haven't been started yet. And we've got 34 that we're moving out into the future. We have 220 different backlog items that need to get started. And so none of the tiles here are in red, which is good, because that means that there's no bugs and we're not falling behind. But this is just a graphical way of being able to show how the system actually displays information. So you have the ability as an end user to go through and tweak all of these boards and show up the way that you want them to. And so this is all basically just Power BI displays, Power BI dashboards. And so with the Power BI capabilities, you could also then use data that exists in DevOps to do external reports that might give you more detailed information on things like costs and budgets and work hours and efficiencies and all those sorts of things, because those are types of records that are kept inside of the DevOps system. But ultimately, what this is doing is being able to visually display what the process of the project actually is. And you can also combine these projects together. So if you've got 2 or 3 different sub-projects working together at the same time or concurrently, then what we need to do is that we need to tweak the process, the dashboard slightly, and you could actually have these tiles represent all of the work on all of the sprint projects that are executing, not just individual ones. So you can roll them all up and together and actually display that information. So for a project manager or a project sponsor, like an executive sponsor, these sorts of dashboard graphics and these Power BI reports are really, really handy and really good for you to be able to see how your projects are working.
We're going to hear from Sagnik. He is our vendor marketing manager, and he's going to introduce some promotions and webinar related courses for today. Sagnik, are you with us?
Hi, Leila.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. And by the way, thank you, Brent, for that insightful session. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I will just take a quick moment of your time to take you through some of the wonderful resources that we have put together for the learners in our session today. So this is the event handout collateral that you have received as part of this training. It is mapped as part of this GoToWebinar portal. So it's part of your shared handouts. The copy will also be shared with you via emails post this session. So keep a lookout for that in case you miss it. I will just take you through very quickly what are the kind of resources and informations you'd find in this ebook that you'd get. So first of all, you'd get an understanding and get to know us a little bit better as NetCom Learning. We are a gold managed Microsoft Learning partner, and we have partnerships with every major vendor in the IT and business industry. So we are the authorized partner. That means our trainings are delivered by certified instructors, authorized instructors. For Microsoft, these are the MCTs like Brent here. And all the trainings that you'd get are directly relevant to the specific roles that you have within the scope of your organization, and your workflows validated by Microsoft. So the content is official Microsoft curriculum that we follow. So you get the highest quality of training. So feel free to go through this and also explore some other solutions that fit your requirements. Within this collateral, you'd also find the link to the session recording. So in case you want to brush up your knowledge and revise over the topics that were covered today, please feel free to go through that. Another important thing that you have access to, it is really an asset, and you have free access to this NetCom 365 learner portal because you participated in today's training. So we encourage you to please activate your accounts, go through the portal, and explore the wealth of resources that are waiting for you in our NetCom 365. You'd get access to future webinars, events, and masterclasses. You can explore through the different courses. You can even take assessments. Some of the latest offerings that we have to help you get started includes one that is very fundamental and comprehensive. For specially designed for enterprises, our Microsoft Skilling program enables your organization to deploy comprehensive end-to-end Microsoft Skilling plans across Azure Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. So depending on the different employees that are working across different projects in your organization, it sometimes becomes a challenge on figuring out where to get started, and also what are the best benefits that you can receive on your Microsoft skilling process. So being a managed Microsoft Gold partner, we have direct partnerships and agreements with Microsoft that allows us to provide you the best possible benefits when it comes to your Microsoft skilling, be it in terms of pricing or the perks and the privileges that you experience as an enterprise as part of this program. So feel free, it's a free of cost onboarding, so feel free to book a free demo session with our learning consultants, and they will guide you through the entire process and discuss the possibilities that are in store for you. As Brent has already covered, we are providing the Win-Win of Certification ebook. This is an official Microsoft collateral that is filled with different stats and data that validates and provides evidence for the impact of certifications for both the employers as well as the employees. So feel free to go through this collateral. It's free, but it educates you and gives you those insights that can often prove critical in your scaling strategy. When it comes to the funding of your training, we understand that training is a continuous process, and we have created certain solutions that enable you to maximize the value of your training funds. So if you are an individual learner or an organization that have a few people you are looking forward to train, but you want a comprehensive skilling journey, feel free to explore our NetCom Plus individual learner subscription, wherein each learner that is subscribed as part of this offering gets access to 500 plus authorized training classes across Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, Confia, and many more, valid for an entire year of continuous learning. And the best part is it includes over 60 official Microsoft courses. So basically the entire Microsoft portfolio is covered under this subscription. So it's a great value at $2,999 per learner per year. If you have more than 10 learners, additional discounts are applicable for those enterprise requirements. There's also another very good product that we have, which is the Learning Passport, and it allows for a higher level of flexibility when you're training entire teams, and these are not locked in to specific learners. So this is a collective fund wherein when you invest, you can increase your training fund value by up to 100%, so essentially doubling it, valid over 12 months, and it is redeemable over 4,000 plus official courses, basically the entire NetCom learning portfolio. So it's a great value if you have those kind of requirements. Last but not the least, we encourage all the learners to please go through this particular slide. It maps all the different, basically the entire learning path for developers on the Microsoft Azure journey, mapping all the courses and certifications, and also features links to two of our upcoming events. These are free of cost, the Microsoft 365 Masterclass and the Security Masterclass. So feel free to register for those events as well. They come with Microsoft official courseware mapped to it as one of your privileges. Last but not least, feel free to visit our website and go through the different resources that are available. If you go to www.netcomlearning.com, you can explore Microsoft offerings, and you'd find one very important thing here. You can explore, go to any of the courses. For example, if it's AZ900, the very foundational gateway into the Azure portfolio, you can take assessments over here. So feel free, these are free skill assessments that we provide. So these are great tools that show you what are the requirements in your personal skilling journey. So with that, I'd like to hand you over, Leela. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right into our question answer session. Let's see. So someone was asking, does DevOps work with non-Microsoft systems, for example, like AWS?
Yes, you don't have to use DevOps to just deploy to like Azure, that sort of thing. You can deploy to Google, AWS, any platform system that you have, whether it's on-premise or cloud-based.
Thank you. Our next question we have is DevOps, or is a DevOps path recommended for a Azure admin?
Yes. Yes.
Short and sweet.
Yes. Yep. It is. Yes.
Can DevOps be used to manage projects?
Yes, that's primarily what its role is, other than as a code repository, is the project management component. It doesn't have the cost components that a project management tool like Microsoft Project would have, but it does a lot of the same project management features in terms of around task assignments and WBS, any of those sorts of things that are used as part of the project.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we've got one more question to get to here. If you have an existing TFS installation, can you migrate to DevOps?
Yes, there are tools available that will assist you in migrating existing projects that have repositories or test scripts or test cases that have been created, and migrate them over into the DevOps platform. If depending upon which version of TFS you're using, it's easier with 2017 or 2018 and newer. If you have older, then you have to do a bit more work. It's more manual, but there is a way to do it.
Thank you. Okay, we got a couple more questions that came in here. Can DevOps pipelines be used as the automated deployment tool for other vendor delivered software?
Yes. Yeah, it can deliver to just about any vendor that you want. You can create the pipeline, you specify the destination, the source repository from where that information is coming from, and you can deploy it, as I mentioned, to AWS or whoever you want. It's not restricted to just doing it in Microsoft.
Okay. Our next question, the last one I'm seeing right now, they said, I currently work with the DevOps board. Can I integrate this with Jara? Am I saying that right?
Yes,
Yeah, Jara.
Jara.
Okay.
I've never had to do it. I've never tried doing it. I don't know if it's possible. I don't natively. It's not. There may be an add-in that you can download from the App Store that will work with it. But as far as I know, no, not out of the box. Let's support the Jira platform.
Well, thank you. Once again, everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Sagnik.